ever wondered how comfortable nowadays our offices have become? It is because of the collaborative efforts of air conditioners, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing infrastructure all put together. It requires a lot of experience to deal and deliver these kind of projects. Today, we have a person, a successful entrepreneur who is having an experience of almost 3 decades running a successful company who has delivered massive mega projects in India. He is the alumni of two premier institutes of our country who needs no introduction. One is IIT Bombay and another is National Institute of Industrial Engineering, also known as NITI Mumbai. So let's start our discussion with Mr. Nand Kishore Nimade, who is the owner of Nikhil Comforts, the company who is known for its brand, who is known for delivering mega projects into the infrastructure of HVAC and MEP. Let's go and meet Mr. Nimade. Nimade sir, we are very honored and our platform is very obliged to have you on our show. Thanks again for taking out time. And sir, we'd like to start our questionnaire with a small question. You are a known personality, but still, for the sake of our audience, would like to know how this field got your attention, how you made your career. If you can just let us through your elaborate career, you have a lot of accomplishments. If you can brief us about this, that would be great.
Thanks, Sumit, for inviting me for an interview on your YouTube channel. I'm really pleased to share my learnings and my experiences with you and future audiences. After finishing my chemical engineering at IIT, during that time, I was thinking that possibly what are the steps that I should take to start on my own, because during IIT itself, I had thought that I should have my own business, and I had done a lot of spade work. I had interviewed almost about more than 50 small businesses during my IIT education to find out about how they started, where their problems, and how are they trying to solve them, and how are they progressing, and possibly their guidance about what I can do to have my own business. Later, after the NITI, in a final year project, my final year project was market research regarding PCB industry, and that gave me market. Later, I joined the same organization which had proposed and from the project, that was Nelco. I joined as a marketing executive, and in that I could implement the learnings that I had from a market research. Generally, you don't get to opportunity to do a market research and also implement those learnings, and I think that was key because that gave me a practical insight into how to collect the information and how to use it for business purposes. Like for example, I changed the pricing strategy in that company. So the basic the way they used to price PCBs, I changed the way it was priced and positioned it in a premium range by offering some value add services.
Okay.
Initially, the company was apprehensive that customers may or may not accept that, but the company found that the acceptance was great. In fact, within 3 months, the plant was overbooked, and I was told to stop taking any new bookings and start increasing the capacity. The later part of my assignment in Nelco was mainly to do debottlenecking, increasing the production. So we added certain machineries, we did automation, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Now, during this only, I was looking at what possibly, that was burning question was still in my mind as to what I should do to start my own venture. I had very little resources with me. So my family background was not that I had my own funds. So whatever money I saved from my salary in first 1.5 years, I use
Mhm.
that to start. It is 15,000 rupees to be precise, and the small chemical plant or small electroplating plant was set in our kitchen. We had one
Mhm.
additional flat in Mulund, and from there I started. In first year, I did a turnover of about 1.8 lakhs from that 15,000 rupees, and
Wow.
which turnover increased to about 20 lakhs in 4 years up to
Mhm.
1990. And that was
Wow.
a time when I decided to change the line.
Mhm.
So there are number of reasons why I changed the line, because I found that the new electronic PCB manufacturing plants were not coming up in Mumbai. They were all coming in Bangalore, Mysore, Goa, and other locations, Pune. And because of I realized that because of pollution, maybe new plants may not come up in Mumbai. And
Okay.
then I would have had to change to some other products. Then my plant would have changed, process would have changed, customers would have changed, and maybe I would have had to change the location also because the other plants are bigger in size. So
Mhm.
then I thought that when I'm going to change so many things, why not I evaluate some other lines
Okay.
of
Okay.
business. So I did a scientific analysis as to what all can be done, and air conditioning was one of the lines which I evaluated, and then later on found suitable. I thought that that time air conditioning was in a primitive industry, you can say. It was not
Mhm.
very well, it was not in a mature cycle.
Mhm.
So I realized that it being a premium product, uh, that time, later on it will become a daily use product as
Mhm.
the quality of life improves. So, and the I saw that there can be a huge potential for growth. So by the
Mhm.
time I learn and settle in the industry, probably I'll be able to travel up the curve as the industry grows, and
Mhm.
I'll get benefited. And exactly the same thing happened. In 91 I started, and the next 15 years or 20 years saw very hazy growth in air conditioning.
Since you are a IITian, you are pass out from IIT Bombay. Obviously, you may have a lot of choices in terms of big companies wanting to have you, offering you job. But what were your basic reasons for going towards entrepreneurship?
See, in our class in IIT, about 56 students were there, and approximately 50 of them went abroad in 1 or 2 years after passing out from IIT.
Mhm.
And barely about 6 to 8 of us are now in India.
Mhm.
I had one of the social goals that all my education was funded through society or by government, through scholarships or free ship. So I felt that it is my duty to give it back to my country. And being an engineer, I thought that the best way to give it to the country is by probably running my own venture where I can contribute effectively, implement my thoughts, provide large scale employment, which is one of the pressing need of our society. That was the main inspiration for getting into business.
So, sir, there is one part which is your business philosophy for growing a company. But beyond that, obviously, you have grown. Nickel Comforts have grown leaps and bounds and are very well known. What have been your personal philosophies to continuously evolve yourself?
The three key points will be: one is the value system of the organization, the second is the being in touch with the market scenario on a continual basis, and the third is to be able to plan and implement the strategies to design an organization to respond to the challenges.
Wow.
So,
So basically, that you
yes,
you
we are
imbibe
known
the
for.
yeah you imbibe that culture that each employee kind of get connected to the main philosophy of the company, and that is where they all help
Correct.
towards approaching the main goal or a common goal what company is trying to achieve.
Correct.
That's really noble thought. So that's
The
really
second thing is that
mhm,
there see there are a lot of the environment around us keeps on changing. So in
mhm,
last 30 years, I have seen a lot of changes in the environment. See, earlier
mhm,
we used to do many small projects, small size projects. Now
mhm.
the challenges involved in doing small size projects are of a different type.
Yeah.
Earlier, the projects were mainly driven by architects. We used to do
Mhm,
small offices, shops, or
mhm,
small size jobs.
mhm,
Then later on, when we tried to do, we felt that that can be a hindrance to our growth. That was
mhm,
typically around 2000 when we had reached a turnover of about 2 crore.
mhm.
We thought that if we continue to do small size projects, it will be very difficult to grow. So you
Yeah.
must increase the size of the projects that we do. So then
Okay.
we changed the organization to doing few large projects instead of doing many small projects. Now the processes, the thinking of the employees, and entire organization has to change to handle big
Mhm.
size projects. The big size projects
Yeah.
have more complexities, more detail engineering, more documentation, and project execution skills also required in a much fine-tuned manner. So
Mhm, mhm,
this sort of thing we implemented for a small organization to do business in multiple verticals
mhm,
is difficult. So earlier we used to do projects across the geographies. We used to do
mhm.
large number of projects across India. So we
Okay.
decided to work in Mumbai, Pune, or nearby areas
Mhm.
in the interim period, but instead try to have more verticals.
Bigger. Yeah. Okay. Mhm,
Yeah, so
mhm.
that trying to so our project size could increase because of that, and also we could differentiate ourselves from others in the
Mhm,
market, because not
mhm,
many
mhm.
people were geared up, and even today not many are geared up to handle MEP.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that was one transformation that we have been trying to do effectively, and I
Mhm.
can say that we have largely succeeded with around 60 to
Yeah.
70% of our today business coming from MEP.
Wow, sir. Of course, sir. So, sir, with that, I wish to understand. Of course, you come from a very hardcore technical discipline, technical knowledge and study. But how do you handle like MEP and HVAC? These are some very robust design disciplines. It requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of engineering, a lot of design skills into that.
See, me handling design is a thing of past. Maybe around 15 years ago, I used to handle design myself.
Yeah.
So we decided that when if the company has to grow, then ultimately my role has to change.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
my involvement, direct involvement in operations, each type of
mhm,
operations, whether it is procurement or planning or design or projects or service, we,
mhm,
we plan to strategically reduce that involvement by
mhm.
developing people who can handle it themselves, empowering them to take a decision. So today I can say that we have a separate design department which handles design for all verticals,
Mhm.
and they have been trained to handle the design.
Okay.
I only try to ensure that more or less, in case they have any difficulty on any particular matter, then we
Mhm,
only that difficulty is resolved.
mhm,
Otherwise, for all practical base, I can say that 99% of the design work is handled by the department directly, and
mhm.
the senior people in the organization that we have are competent to handle these issues without referring them to me.
Wow, wow. So, sir, basically, you have developed these systems into your company so that you are not involved in a day to day, but more on a strategic front. Your involvement are there. That's really like
Yes.
the people from our audience who wish to become an aspiring entrepreneur definitely need to learn that and note that down. How do you see like technology kind of developed or evolved or changed your business the way it was like 20-25 years back to what it is now? How are you using the technology?
See, when I started, everything was manual. There was, even telecommunications were rudimentary. We used to work with landlines in '91, and then later on came pagers, and in after 2000, with the advent of mobiles, the entire communication changed. And about written communication, what was type letters going to customers. From that, the mailing started, and the mailing has revolutionized the communication, mailing and mobiles. The third phase is now actually now happening now. So now is the time that with the apps you can do a lot of things, automate a lot of things, like attendance can be recorded, or the voucher approvals, or the information passing on between the site and the our office can be done through apps. So photos can be sent, videos can be sent, no, the formats can be filled up. So a lot of information can happen automatically on WhatsApp, or on if we have a company's app, it can be through that. Then the Google Drives can effectively be used to share information within work on a collaborative basis within the organization. As far as the drawings are concerned, earlier the drawings were manual, then came AutoCAD, and now the drawings are done in Revit. So we because if we have to do clash detection, see, when we do multiple services, we have to detect the clashes. And if we detect the clashes in the beginning, then at the execution stage on the field, you have a smoother run.
So now we are in the midst of pandemic, and now the overall world is kind of recovering from this. So in your work, in your form of field, how do you see the challenges you may be facing in coming time, or what do you see the challenges you are seeing this when this pandemic gets over? Is there any specific challenge your company is going to face, or what are the preparations you are taking up so that when things are over, you come up rise and shining?
See, as we are coming out of this pandemic, we should see a lot of work being done from home by many of the IT and BPO sector, which are which occupy large spaces, and therefore they are our customers for our services. So large value contracts come from this sort of customers, and we may see lot of retrofit jobs where those offices will get modified. Probably they will shrink in size, plus there will be changes like they may make changes in the places where the common user spaces, like washrooms may undergo changes, the cafeterias will undergo changes, meeting rooms will undergo changes. So wherever there's a possibility of infection spreading through contacts, so there may be some changes in the way the things are handled. The third thing is that the certain sectors of the economy will grow more rapidly. Like I find that the next 3 or 4 years, we should see a huge growth, exponential growth in healthcare sector. Or associated sectors related to healthcare. So we should be able to focus more on those sectors where those are the sectors where the growth will come.
Obviously, when it is said that when you have a name, you always have a responsibility to deliver a successful project. How you make your project successful? Like if you can share some key guidelines of making your project successful.
A successful project requires meticulous planning of the project, then timely doing documentation to take approvals, extra item approvals, rate approvals, amended purchase orders, or delay notifications. So these play an important role in successfully handling large size projects. Apart from that, we have to identify the long lead time items, take the approvals and do ordering in time so that the material reaches in time. Uh, if these sort of things are done in proper systematic manner, the large size projects are handled easily. Another thing is that in large size projects there are a lot of complications in terms of so that somebody's else's job affects you. So some changes happen, then you have to respond to the changes quickly. Again, review the design or make modifications. Identify whether there can be any clashes. One more important thing is that design validation plays a very important role in success of a project.
Okay.
In services, they are functional. So if you just implement what is given the tender, then the if later on the results are not there, then there can be a dispute with the client. You can pass a buck to consultant because they have designed, but that doesn't serve the purpose. Ultimately, the success means that as a team we succeed. We don't succeed individually.
Yeah.
So if initial phase we do design validation and check whether whatever the project design has been done by the architects or the earlier team or client, if there are any issues with that, and if we try to make modifications in the beginning, and you will be surprised that almost 80% of the projects they undergo changes in the initial stage because the design because of design issues.
Okay. Sir, with that, how important is project management for you? Does it also do you use any software for your project management?
See, earlier we have tried using MS Project, but we found that for our type of projects which are comparatively smaller in size and comparatively of a shorter duration, the implementation of MS Project in practice is not very practical. So instead, it is easier to work with Excel sheets and formats and trying to use the basic principles and implement a project. Like suppose, see, success of a project, there are two things basically which are required, 2-3 things which are important to successfully implement a project in time. One is, as I said, that if we are able to, if our drawings are correct, if we are identified the clashes in the beginning, clash detection in the beginning, and then when the project happens, we will not have to do many changes or many modifications which can take the time. Second is that if the material planning is done properly, identifying the long lead time items, taking the approvals and ordering in time. So if the material comes in time to site, then practically the project happens in time. The third thing is obviously marshalling the manpower resources as per the timeline and the work content required. So if basically these three things are taken care, I think you can implement the project in time.
Which is your field is mostly directly linked to the construction sector. In a say, it's allied construction works basically. We are seeing the construction sector to overall come to a it is a big stress from last 1 or 2 years as such. What do you think or any suggestions you want to give? What should be done at government policy level or something like that to revive this construction sector as such?
See, as far as smaller companies are concerned, the market size is much bigger than our size. So whether the market shrinks by 15% or 20%, it really doesn't matter. So let us presume that the air conditioning market in Mumbai is more than 10,000 crores. So from 10,000, if it comes to 8,000 crores, for a 30, 40, 50 crore company, it doesn't matter whether it is 8,000 crores or 10,000 crores. So what matters is how you are able to maintain your share of market, what you want to do, or whatever is how much business you want, whether you are able to identify. So one needs to frequently identify the sectors which may be doing badly. So you need to, one is, you should not be over dependent on one sector. Like suppose real estate. real estate is one sector, education another sector, hospitality third sector, or healthcare fourth sector, the malls or entertainment other sectors. So there are many sectors of the industry which you can work on. And if one is very well diversified, then one doesn't get affected. Other thing is that one can reduce the exposure to industries which are under stress. So today, let us say real estate sector is in stress. So we are not trying to do much business in real estate sector. As far as
Yes,
the
sir.
government is concerned, what I would like to say is government should work on making the judiciary faster, work faster, so
Yeah.
that the commercial dispute resolution
Uh,
happens effectively. Today, if somebody issues a check and it bounces, practically it may take more than 5 years to recover the money. Or
Okay.
if some customer does not pay you, to recover the money also it's a long process.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
if the process is shortened and it is a quicker way to resolve commercial disputes, then a small size company like ours can, will not get affected by our customers not paying us what is due to us, which affects us badly.
Your company, Nikhil Comforts, is already into a very successful position as of now. What are your future plans of expansion? You want to diversify more, or you have any particular thing in mind as what is the way forward for Nikhil Comforts? Where are we seeing Nikhil Comforts like 5 years from now?
See, earlier our project ticket size, which was small, has is now more or less in the range of now 3 to 10 crores currently. We are planning to increase this ticket size or project size and maybe take up few projects which are of a bigger size, maybe 25-30 crores. So once the project size increases, it will it will of course pose new challenges, but it will open up a lot of visas to grow faster.
Sir, I want to ask one question. You have mastered engineering. You have a very good knowledge of entrepreneurship. You have practiced it. And is there any skill currently you want to develop, or is there something remaining for you to develop something?
See, learning is a continuous process and it doesn't stop. Uh, at this stage, I will say that the challenge that I'm faced is that see, today I am 60 years old. So I have to now the challenge is to identify a successor to run the company. So we are making those changes within the organization where uh, in my next phase, there is that when I work between 60 to 80 years, my role should continuously reduce and it should be more in the way of only giving directions and controlling only key parameters and allowing the younger generation to professionals to run the company, and we are working in that direction. Hopefully in next 5 years we should be able to reach there.
Wow, 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 sir. I'm like to see and understand from you. There are so many topics we can discuss. There are so many learnings we can get from you. There is a large part of our audience in our channel who are really who want to aspire for becoming a successful entrepreneur like you, who want to build their career into this field, in the field of like turnkey projects, in the field of HVAC. So any success mantras you want to give to the younger generation in the field, specifically for HVAC, if they wish to develop themselves into HVAC expert or entrepreneurship in general?
See, about HVAC in particular, I would like to say that today HVAC has become very competitive industry, and the profitability is not what it used to be earlier. It is very tight. Many times people are picking up projects at extremely low margins, and the one most important thing I would like to say for a budding entrepreneur is that one must learn to work with head and not heart.
Oh.
Many times when you are in contracting, one becomes emotional. One feels that one should not lose this job, and bid to take up a job, people agree to a very low price, which then becomes unsustainable. So only if you are able to say no, you are able to get your price.
Oh, okay.
And this is one of the most important thing in a contracting line. And one must be able to select the projects that one will work on, not try to work on each and every project, not not make it a ego issue that you must win this project. Okay, you should make best efforts, but you should take up a project only if it fits into your pricing.
Yeah, yeah.
If you are
Basically,
covering
very
costs with a
calculative
reasonable
decision
margin.
making is important.
Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So, sir, that's like we can, as I said, like there are so many, there's so much knowledge what we can get from you. There are so many guidance, and we keep on getting you on our platform. I'm again thanking you, and it's thanks a lot for taking out time for coming to our show. And sir, we really wish you and Nikhil Comforts for a great time ahead. And with that, sir, thanks a lot for your time again.
Thanks, Sumit. I am seeing the way you have been growing. You are really doing well in your business, and you are really using technology to a great extent. And I feel that you have a long career, successful career ahead of you. Thank you very much.